I didn't prepare correctly to be evaluated because when they came and looked at me, I was 220 pounds or 210 pounds. Garry probably needed to be up there, like back then, probably 235, 245. Remember something, when they ran the ball back in them days, you know what they probably looked at? Gary Cobb would be a perfect first-round draft choice linebacker today because the game's played in so much space. But when Garry played, this guy had to eat chili dogs to get his weight up so he could get to 245. Because back then, dude, people ran downhill in the league. He had some of the best running backs in NFL history when he played. And you had to take on physical guards. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, with him and Coffee up there, I think they played in a 34. So if he was in a 34, Garry was lined up over 6'5", 300-pound guards. At 210, I don't know. It had to be awful good, which he was. All right. We're going to go in chronological order here. What's happened? We're going to get to all your super chats. I appreciate you guys. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. From Fox 29 and former Eagle himself, our good friend Garry Cobb joins us now. And Garry, am I right? I mean, can you imagine? I tried telling people this. If I was this much taller and you weighed 15 pounds more, that's the difference between going in the second round, maybe in the fifth round. That's all the difference is when you're starting to evaluate these guys.
That's right. You know, size is very important. Of course, they look at size and they look at speed. You know, if depending on the position, if you're playing a position where you got to cover people, you know, you got to be able to run. And of course, the game now, the passing game has really kind of taken over. Even though you can see where the Eagles able to run that ball. And so that's still a factor, but most teams, they want to throw the ball. And so you got to be able to run, and that's a priority. You know, if you're a defensive back or you're a linebacker, you got to be able to run, you know. So all those ingredients play in there, and size isn't as big as it was in the past when, you know, when I came in the league, it was a running league. You know, everybody's running the ball. You know, don't get it twisted. If you can't stop the run, you're not going to play in the league. So I think the Eagles, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do offensively, with the fact that I don't know that they would run Saquon as much this coming year. Now, he's still going to be, you know, a key factor in the offense, but I could see them throwing the ball a bit more because I don't know that they want to put all those carries back-to-back years of a guy who's, you know, is getting older. So,
Garry, how about this here? First, Darius Slay. You know,
yep.
I had a conversation with Robert Bailey at the Rosenhaus firm. Drew Rosenhaus represent him. And these guys are now saying this. They've not closed the door on coming back. And as you know, this is a $12 million player.
Yeah.
Very few people in that market are going to pick that contract up. So he's probably going to clear waivers. And with a 34-year-old guy, maybe you can talk to this at the back end of your career. I'm looking at it like this. Hey, I don't want to move across the country to play at a shitty team like New England, where I've got Baltimore and Washington, where I could stay in that same environment, not have to move, or stay in Philly, and maybe they offer him $7 million to come back and play 1 year. So, I mean, you know, you look at the free agent market, corners, it's not really great.
No.
You're not going to draft a third corner in 2 years with the first pick. So is Slay their best option to let him clear waivers and see if they can come to an agreement and bring him back?
You know, he could be. He could definitely be. I think they're looking at it. They're you know, he's going to have to be willing to do that. You know, he's taking less money, but he knows that environment, which would be better for him because he's here. He knows it's going to be a winning environment. I think he's looking at either the Eagles or the Lions.
Yeah,
you know, because he knows that these teams are going to be winning. This is not going to be a year where they're, you know, he's dealing with a team in the basement. So I think he's looking at that, and you know, it's going to be interesting. It's a matter of what do the Eagles think of their other corners. You know, they got some youngsters. Are they going to be able to sign and have the people they want at that corner spot. Or they might say, you know what? Slay is still our best option. And we want to bring him back, but we're going to bring him back. Of course, he's not going to be making as much, which is going to allow us to do other things we want to do on our defense. And you know who you know, Howie, you know, Howie's looking over there. He's got to be looking at Cleveland. He's got to be saying, well, what would it cost? You know, and it's a matter of, you know, are they, you know, can they do a deal with Cleveland?
For Myles Garrett here.
For Myles Garrett, yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, of course, that's a certain thing. And I'm sure that they are writing out, you know, what's going to happen if they go in that direction. And then they're going to be writing out a formula for what's going to go if they don't go in that direction. What are they going to do? But they know they're probably going to have to add. They got to add personnel on the defensive line. They're going to lose probably a couple guys.
How about this, though, Gary, here? You know, the Garrett deal is interesting here for sure, but
yeah, see, I don't think they're not going to be able to sign Sweat, I don't think.
9 days, but we're 9 days out from training camp now.
Mm-hmm.
The more this keeps going on, I'd say by the end of the week, if we don't see contracts on the table here, how many of these guys are going to walk into free agency in 9 days? I mean, I'm going to go the big five: Isaiah Rodgers, Becton, Bond. You're going to have Sweat and Milton Williams. I mean, do you think all 5 of these guys are going to be walking into free agency? Do you think Howie's going to let all 5 of those guys go out there and test the market? Or do you think we'll start to see some deals here? Because, I mean, if I'm Zach Bond, the more this goes on, why in the world would I take a $12 million deal when I know some stupid team like Green Bay? I played at Wisconsin. Green Bay offers me a 3-year, $17 million annual deal. How don't I go back home? I'm 28 years old.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is the kind of thing, you know, you're kind of playing cards, you know. Everybody's looking down there, you know, only, you know, the team willingness. How far are they willing to go? You know, how can, you know, if you let somebody get out there on the market, you know, then, you know, you're basically a prisoner to what they're offered.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's willing to break the bank, you can't blame a guy for going getting the money. He doesn't know how long he's going to play.
Plus, he's 28.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's got to put a certain number up there and going, like, I got to get at least, you know, his agent's got to say how much at the least he was willing to take. Because he doesn't know how much longer he's going to play. And he hasn't made, you know, he hasn't been making the big money. So he's got to get paid. And I you know, that's got to be what he's thinking. So I imagine they write down some numbers that they expect to see. And they're not willing to sign unless they get that number, you know.
If you're Bond, Gary, if you were Bond and in his position,
yeah,
would you re-sign or would you want to do see, 2 things can be right here. You can want to resign and stay in Philly, but would you want to be a guy who went out there and said, let me take a couple offers, see where we're at here? Because, you know, even the Eagles might want to see what his value is, right? Because if the Eagles come in there and give him a $50 million deal, he gets in the open market. All of a sudden, people are going 13, 12. The Eagles, they were negotiating against themselves.
That's right.
So what would you do?
I would want to see what numbers are out there. I would want to see that. I would want to see what are people
letting them know you want to stay.
That's right. I'd let them know I want to stay because it's a great situation for him. Of course, he'd like to stay here. He knows he's got a team that if they don't win it again, they're going to be knocking on the door again. So you'd like to stay here when you're talking about from the football standpoint, but then you got the financial standpoint. There are really two aspects of it. But you definitely want to play for a team that's in the hunt. You would like to. But, of course, you want to get your money, too. So you would like to get both of those. So getting paid and being here with the Eagles would be an option you would love. That would be really the top option because, you know, you got a team that's knocking on the door to win again, to win the whole thing. So you know you would like to stay here, but you want your money too.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think of how he knows, I mean, again, when we're talking about negotiating here, I don't think that that's really something that's going to bend or hurt relationships there. Just wanting to know what the market is there.
I don't think you can't blame him. Come on. They couldn't blame him for that. They wouldn't
got to cash in, right? He's 28. He's never made a ton of money before here. So let me go over to this now.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Myles Garrett deal. I'm going to keep asking you this question here because I'm asking everybody this because it seems to be wobbling one way or the other each and every single day, every 24 hours. This thing changes. Are you in now with this? If they could make something happen, you might have to trade some players. You might have to trade some high picks. I mean, you get him on your football team. You got Carter and Garrett on your football team. You got the best combo since Reggie White and Jerome.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got craziness on that defense. Are you more in or are you still, we're the champs. We really don't have to rip the game plan up. Where are you with this?
Well, the thing is, if you're thinking on a football level, this is a passing league, okay? You got two guys, they cannot throw the football because they got both of these guys climbing all over them every play. If you can get him in here, I mean, you're willing to give up something. You know that you might not be as strong at another position, but those guys on your defensive line, both of them, put you in a position where I don't know who's going to block both of them. I don't see how, and then, you talk about Vic with the way he doesn't like the blitz. You don't have to blitz. We got two guys that they cannot block both of these guys. They're going to be climbing over the quarterback every play. So defensively, look at what we're bringing to the table, and we're going to be hard to move the ball on because we got two guys you cannot block. You can't double team them every play. You got to pick which one you want to double team. And one of them is going to be one-on-one, and we don't have – there's nobody in the league that's going to block these guys one-on-one. So we put the defense in a position where we expect to have the best defense in the league. So if you can work out a deal where you can bring him in here, I mean, and Howie, I mean, he's worked his magic before, and if he can do that now, you go ahead and make a deal, bring him in here.
Garry, Jordan Davis is up. Next couple months, they have to make a decision if they're going to pick the fifth-year option up on the guy. And that would look like a $13 million fifth-year option for a guy who plays 34% of the snaps.
I can't see that. I can't see it. I can't see it giving him that kind of money. He just hasn't shown anything. Like, we're talking about a guy that's basically a run stopper, okay? He's not a pass rusher. He hasn't shown he can do that. And as much as you would love to keep him here, you can't give him that kind of money. Just can't. Right now, he's not. Come on, as a defensive lineman, you got to be able to rush the passer. And you notice that even as great as the defensive line was playing, I mean, he wasn't on the field very much.
Yeah, 20 plays.
So, I'm sorry, you just can't not pay him that kind of money, because he has not shown you that he can rush the passer. This is a passing league. Taking on the double team, that's great. We appreciate. We can get some fat guys to come in here and take on that double team. And as much as high as he was taken, he hasn't really played up to that.
Ajamo, you could make the argument he played more snaps last year than what even Jordan Davis did. I mean, but again, then you start looking at the philosophy of it, and I get the number on Williams. In the last 3 years, Milton Williams has outplayed Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He can play in a 7, a 5, and a 3 technique.
That's right.
You lose the versatility if you allow – why would you let a 25-year-old defensive lineman walk out the building? I get the number. He could be north of $20 million like Javon Hargrave got $20 million from the Niners. But, Garry, why would you have an argument or a conversation about Jordan Davis, who's a first and second down player, where you got a guy that you drafted, you developed, you had great coaching with and he produced for you.
Yeah.
Why would you let him just walk out the building?
Well, it's all going to come down to the numbers. I mean, can you re-sign him? You would love to have him back, but you got to look at this total picture, and that's what Howie's got to do. He's been great at doing that, looking at the total picture and saying, okay, what is the maximum we can do? We would love to keep all the talent we've got. We would love to do that. But what can we get? What is the most talent we can get for the money that we got on the table? And he's great at I don't know how he does it. He must throw something in the air or something, or whatever he does. I don't know how he does it, man. He finds a way going like he signed all of them. Well,
yeah.
So he's able to get the maximum, but we understand that somebody is going to walk. Somebody will.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to walk. But he's going to get the maximum talent on the field, and that's what that's why you feel good about having it in Howie's hands. I mean, he finds a way to get it done, man. I don't know how he does it, but he finds a way really better than anybody in the league.
Couple last ones here for you. So Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, and everybody's really raving about these guys, but once again, here's my spin on them. Okay, Gary, I think they showed us that they can play in this league. However, you've also shown me that one thing is consistent with both of you. You're just undersized ball players. You're always somewhere in the season. You're injured. Nakobe Dean has never been in Philadelphia without ending the year on IR.
Yeah.
And you constantly heard Vic say this in every press conference when he was referencing Nolan Smith. He's an undersized guy who plays with great tenacity, but he's undersized. So to me, can you build a defense around people that their health is in question? Hey, it's one thing.
I don't think you can say that with Nolan Smith. You could clearly say that
they drafted him hurt though. He had a shoulder injury when he came out of Georgia.
Yeah, but last year he played the entire year. He played the entire year. They're going to keep an eye on him, of course. But the thing that I saw with Nolan, that he's getting better at playing with leverage.
Okay,
the kid is playing with leverage. I mean, I saw him get better versus the run, versus the pass this past year. He did a great job, and he is undersized, and maybe he might, start holding some of that weight on him and stuff. But the thing played great leverage, man. He wasn't getting knocked back.
True.
If anything, he was getting under, and then he uses his speed around that corner. I mean, he comes around that corner, man. He's run down some fast quarterbacks because he's got, you're talking about got 4.4, 4.3 speed, whatever, coming around the corner, man.
4.3.
I mean, he's running guys down. So right now, I see him now. Of course, if you're talking about injuries, they have sustained certain injuries, but I don't have a problem with Nolan though. Nolan has
he's proven to you.
Nolan's been going like this. I mean, I guess he's been going like this.
Has he proven to you?
Has he proven to me? I would have to say right now, I'm a believer in Nolan Smith. I mean,
okay.
You look at the playoffs. This is when you're supposed to have the best people out there on the field, the best teams. The guy has 4.5 sacks. He's doing a great job against the run. And that's what I'm saying is, like, from a leverage standpoint, he gets under these big defensive tackles, and he doesn't get blown off the line, even versus the run.
True.
But the big thing is, you're rushing the passer like that. You're getting to the quarterback. You're valuable.
Absolutely. There's a big market for that. And that goes to this question. Well, if you're Howie, would you ever entertain this? Because you entertained it with Gardner Johnson. You brought him back, even after he talked shit to the Philly fans. Would you contemplate bringing Hassan Reddick back at $11 million? Here's a guy who had 30 sacks for you in 2 years and destroyed the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think about at least entertaining or having a conversation about bringing him back and making him part of the 4-man rotation?
Well, I think that's something you would be open to. Depends on, what kind of money he's talking about. depending on is he in good health? You know, I know
mentally too, right?
That mentally too. Yeah, he's got to come in, and he's been pretty good. That whatever, he could fight for some money. When he's come in every time, the guys come in ready to play. So I think Hassan is that type of professional where he understands there's a money part of this game, and the Eagles have to do what's best for the Eagles. At the same time, he's doing what's best for him, and then you got to let it go. Once that the contracts have been signed and everything, you got to come in and produce. And he's been very professional about that. So I think he could handle whatever situation. If they wanted to do that, that's something that I think that I can understand, because he is a professional. Every year he's been there for the Eagles, he's produced.
Absolutely, man. I mean, so I want to propose this to you finally here. I want to propose this. So let's say they get 4 of the 5 guys signed back and they lose Milton, but they get the rest of these guys back. Why not do this at 32? Because I look at the draft. I don't know, Gary. I mean, I see a lot of good athletes, but I don't see a lot of great game tape. I just look at that draft and I see one of the worst drafts in 15 years. I look at the free agent market. It's even worse. So why not do this if you're the Eagles? I came up with this a couple minutes ago. At 32, why not trade that pick to New England, Carolina, somebody like that? And in 2026, in case there are free agent issues or an injury, you got 2 first-round draft choices in the 2026 NFL draft. And then I don't think there's a difference between pick 20 and pick 50. I think they're all kind of the same. Why not trade that pick and put yourself and hedge your bets where you got 2 ones where you could do some serious damage in 26, especially when you got a lot of contracts coming up?
Well, they're going to evaluate these guys, and if they evaluate them the way you said, which I've heard other people saying the same thing about the talent here, that this is not a big talent. The whole draft is not going to be a great draft. If they evaluate it like that, that is quite a move to do that, because you got a team that's knocking on the door right now. This is not a team, and that's why I don't know that I see Howie doing this, because if they were to have to move up, let's say, and they say there's one guy that they got to have that's a standout, and they got to move up to 15, and they got to give up quite a bit from a pick standpoint to get that particular guy. I think Howie's going to go up and get that guy if he doesn't see that this is not a strong draft. So I would see him doing that, and I would see him trying to maybe be more aggressive about 1 or 2 guys that they feel are elite players. If there's nobody there at 30, he'll go up and try to. At 32, he'll try to go up and get somebody. But for him to do what you're saying, for him to do that I could understand them doing that, but that'd be quite an option, which I probably would doubt that he would do that.
You think they're going to use that pick? Would you do you think that at that pick, it's going to determine next week on free agency on who they lose and what they do at 32, right?
Yeah, I could see. I don't think they'll stay at 32 then. See?
Oh, you think they move up?
Well, if they see there's nothing there at 32, which I've heard people say that there's not going to be much there, then I could see Howie going up. If he sees let's say there's one guy, we've already seen him like this. He sees a guy that he knows could come in and help this team get over the hump, maybe going after another title. I think he would be more apt to go up and be aggressive and end up giving up a lot to make that move up. But I would see him leaning on that side rather than trading back, because if he trades back, that would be a surprise, in him not try to add something to this team, which he's already said, and it's very obvious that this is a team NOW. This is a now team. They're already knocking on the door. They feel if they could add 1 or 2 talented players to get them over the hump again, I could see them that he's leaning and looking at that, and maybe he has to, to give a whole lot. If somebody say you can't give up that much for that guy, well, they think that guy's going to help them win another title. I think they go after it, you know.
Hey, Gary, so tomorrow we're getting Jeff Fisher on, and
Okay.
I think he played with you at Southern Cal, and I'm going to say he may have been your D coordinator when you were in Philadelphia too, because I know he was the coordinator there with Jerome, and he was the DB coach. So I mean,
I know Jeff.
3:30. He was with the Bears and he was with Buddy Ryan, right?
That's right. Yeah. Jeff came in. Jeff was at USC when I was there, and he also came in with Buddy Ryan when I was with the Eagles. No doubt about it. I know Jeff Fisher real well. Yeah. You tell him I said hello.
You bet I will. You guys had so many great players that ended up going on. I don't believe you were in the room when Del Rio was there. I think Del Rio was after you.
No, Del Rio was after me. Yeah, he was after me. But I definitely played with Jeff Fisher. That's right. Because Jeff was a youngster. He was a youngster back then. Yeah.
Oh, so you was a linebacking core at SC, you and Woods?
No, not Woods. You had Clay Matthews was there. Of course, Ricky Ellison. You had Chip Banks, Larry McGrew. Just
who were your backups though?
We had some backups. It's hard. I mean, the backups weren't getting too much time, so but we had a lot of players though, and we had some good players back then on those USC teams. That's right.
No doubt. Hey, did you play for Coach McKay or did you play for Coach Robinson?
Well, really, 3 years under Robbo and 1 year under McKay.
Wow. Wow. National champion too, by the way, just in case folks are keeping score. Great stuff, Garry. I appreciate it. This is what makes the offseason great. You just don't know. We're going to find out in the next 9 days what the hell's going on here.
That's right. Hey, with Howie and those guys, all they got to be is right. You know what I mean? Just be right.
Absolutely, man.
Just be
Thank
right,
you, Garry.
man.
I appreciate it, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
You got it. That's right, man. And he's been right the last 7 years. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button here. I'm going to go back over the guys who impressed me, the guys that I think the Eagles may look at, and some of the guys that I'm starting to question a little bit that are going to go in the April draft. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in America. And my great friend John Morgan and his wife Ultima have built this law firm into being the #1 law firm when it comes to injury law firms in America. There is nobody out there with a better resume. And here is their unmatched resume, $20 billion in recovery for clients across the country. Thousands of attorneys that Morgan & Morgan has, they go to battle for you each and every single year. Anytime you have an issue, make no mistake about it, that's what Morgan & Morgan is all about. Listen, life is hard. A lot of hard decisions to make. This will be the easiest decision that you ever make. If you're ever injured, please check out our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free unless they win. For more info, go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.